Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and let's talk ratchet handle length, especially in the 1/4 inch variety. And the reason I'm pointing at 1/4 inch, these, is simply because it's easy to argue that if you get too long a lever here, that you could actually break the fastener, you could break the socket, break the ratchet, cause some other damage, just simply because you've got way too much lever for the size of the fastener that you're working with. Now obviously you can go up to, in general, about 15 millimeters the max that come with most 1/4 inch socket sets, the good ones, but that's huge compared to the anvil and the workings here. Now I have found that I like grabbing, if I have enough room, grabbing a longer socket or a longer ratchet handle, simply because it's just easier. There's less effort. The effort is the amount of force you have to put into the handle side in order to get whatever amount of fastening you want here. But it does take a little bit of experience so you don't just snap something off, because you've got so much potential here with a long lever arm. But it's also not exactly linear as it would be mathematically. If I come down here with my tape measure here, this one is about 7 centimeters, and that's measuring from the center here of the head to the end of the handle. If I come over here, I'm working with about 15 centimeters. Now, does that mean that I'm going to get twice the amount of leverage here? No, I'm actually going to get quite a bit more leverage with a twice length handle in this case. It of course doesn't apply here, and I'll show you why. And that is simply because of my ability to grab this thing. I just cannot put the amount of skin onto chrome in order to twist this that I can here. So once I've grabbed this thing, as solid as I can, I'm able to put way more force on here. And of course, then I've got my doubling simply in length. So instead of going from X number of foot-pounds or Newton meters or whatever to 2x, simply because of the longer handle, I'm actually probably able to magnify that or amplify that quite a bit more, simply because I can grab much more of the handle. But of course it starts to fall off once I've got my hand on there. So then I'm not getting that same benefit by grabbing the handle on a longer one. Instead, from probably this case right here, I don't know, maybe a smaller one. It depends, probably your mileage may vary, but I feel like I can grab this a lot easier, a lot safer. So I'm going to say at twice the level of the short one, that's when you get way more mechanical advantage because of your grip, not just the math of leverage. But once you get to that point, then it stops being a factor, and then you just go straight to handle length. So if I say that another way, if I measured both of these, let's say this one here is the 7. As you can see there, it's about 7. And let's go to the long one for fun. If I go out here and take this out to about 30, we'll call it 28 for ease of math. So technically, this one is 1/4 the length, or 1/4 the amount of mechanical advantage, or this one is 4 times greater. So if I get 10 units of whatever here, I get 40 here. If I got 100 whatevers here, I would have 400 here. So that's not quite accurate, because I can't quite grab all of this, therefore it's less. However, I can also use just a couple of fingers, so the opposite is at play here. I don't have to grab this as if my life depended on it. I can subtly manipulate this thing and actually do a better job, potentially, of dialing in what I want than I can with the mid-sized ones. Of course, I can learn to, feel about how much, but this one might be full strength. This one, I might be able to do it with finesse and just a couple of fingers, actually get that same amount of torque with very little effort and with more finesse, more feel. But of course, I can also overdrive this. So if you're just a gorilla and you're going to grab one of these and crank on it, it might be better to go with the shorter handle even if you've got plenty of room. And so, of course, let's talk about room. The accessibility has a lot to do with your ability to fit a larger or longer ratchet in. I was using this the other day, just trying it out. And this is actually a kind of a speeder handle with a built-in 1/4 inch drive. Nice spinny handle here on the end. It's a fun little ratchet. Not necessarily the most useful. It's great if you have a lot of repetition, a lot of the same size stuff, and you need to dial them in quite a bit before you add that extra. Versus, I mean, basically it's taking the place of a battery-powered tool. But anyway, what I realized, is just how I was using it in the different positions, to try to tighten up the fastener and then expand out and then snug it down and get to the position or the torque that I wanted. I started thinking about the different lengths. I'm curious what your thoughts are, simply because I think there is danger in a very long 1/4 inch drive. Maybe that's what Snap-on's thinking with the breaker bar, although it's so easy to just toss about anything larger than a soda straw on that and get whatever length you want. But I do find myself wanting to use a little bit larger ones or the little tiny ones. But when I do that, I usually like to bend them just like that, and then it's so much easier. But as I've mentioned, I like using the longer sockets then. So it's a different equation. So anyway, this is what I found as the longest to shortest 1/4 inch drivers. This might be a little more realistic since we're using ratchets. But that's a huge amount of leverage difference. 3/8, generally I don't think the human hand can easily snap off a 3/8, but I think the human hand and arm is capable of breaking a 1/4 inch. So that's why I've chosen this as the target. But let me know what you think, if there's danger in this, or if it's so much easier, or if you're getting old like me and it's just so much nicer to use something and just not have to put that much effort into it to get the same size torque value that would require, a pretty good grab at a smaller socket like that. Let me know. And with that, Doc out.